My name's Holly Furfer. I'm very excited because we have Chef Kendra Peterson with us with Swiss Diamond.
Thank you, everybody, so much.
And we're talking about cooking gluten-free. First of all, just for those who hear that a lot and are not really sure what does that mean, explain what that means.
So there's two things that can be an issue. You can either have celiac disease, which is an autoimmune disease where you actually have some serious internal damage from eating gluten, which is a protein found in wheat, or you can have a gluten sensitivity. Some people hear gluten intolerance. It's the same thing. The gluten sensitivity, you can have the same symptoms. It can feel just as bad for that person, but you don't have the internal damage to your GI tract.
So explain the difference between somebody who might have a peanut allergy or be allergic to a food versus somebody who has celiac who has a problem digesting gluten.
Sure. So with celiac disease, what actually happens is the little fingers called villi that line your intestines go flat. Those are really important for so many functions. There's different vitamins that are processed in there. It's what moves your food through your body, basically. So you don't necessarily have the throat closing like you do with a peanut allergy. You don't always have the swelling of the eyes, the puffy lips. You see the fish lips on people who eat seafood. You don't have that very recognizable sort of factor. So a lot of people don't really believe it's an allergy because it's all internal. You might not feel it for 12 to 24 hours. Problem is it can be 200 ways that shows up. You can get a rash, you could get a stomach ache, you can get migraines. There's 200 symptoms basically.
What else do you find gluten in besides wheat pasta?
That's a great question. Rye, barley, and oats. There are certified gluten-free oats. The challenge is most people who have one allergy often have another allergy that go along with it. Chips can often have sneaky wheat in there. Cereals, it's really important to read the ingredients. And they use gluten quite a bit as a stabilizer in a lot of shelf-ready products. So just like when we were hearing about soy, and there's soy protein in everything, and it's used to thicken things and stabilize, it's kind of the same way that now gluten is infiltrating products that you would never think it would be in. It's kind of hidden. Beer would be a common one that most people don't know. If you have celiac, you even have to look at things like lipstick and lotion. You have to really look at exactly where you're finding that wheat because it shows up in crazy places. And the other thing too, it can be hard to understand if something says gluten-free or free of gluten or not processed with gluten. It depends how sensitive you are. If you have celiac disease, it's really important to probably get things that are verified gluten-free, really just to avoid that. Products, they will tell you there's no gluten in them, but they are made on the exact same line as their products that have wheat. So even though they're potato chips, say they are void of gluten.
You mentioned they're made on the same line, so gluten can be transferred. It doesn't have to be baked into a product.
Exactly. It can be, and here's an interesting one too that most people don't think about. Ovens. If you have a convection oven, it can literally blow flour around and it can land on your food. A convection oven can cause cross-contamination. I find that I use more brown rice flour than any other flour in my pantry. It's also one of the flours that I put in my flour mix when I bake. It's pretty inexpensive, and because you can get brown rice flour, it has a little bit of fiber in it. If you don't have a nut issue, I find that almond flour is amazing. It lends a lot of moisture to whatever you're baking. It's really, really great in quick breads, baked goods. But again, the important thing with baking gluten-free is that you need to have a blend of flours. So you can't just substitute brown rice flour. You can't just substitute almond flour. You need to have a blend, and you need to have a starch in there. So another good thing for the pantry would be tapioca starch or potato starch. And as you cook more and more while you're gluten-free, you'll realize the things that you use more often, like rice and lentils. I use those all the time, so I always have those. And they're easy, they're quick. Quinoa, I love it. 15 minutes, 1 part quinoa, 1.5 parts water, in the pot, like rice. Done.
Okay, so you can show us how to make dishes without the gluten so that you can still enjoy great food. It doesn't mean you have to have bland food, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The way that I cook for my clients in Chicago is using real food. I don't make gluten-free pizza or gluten-free pasta. We use rice and lentils and beans and potatoes, and part of what I want to do is get people back to eating real food products and stop using the processed things. So even if you don't have a gluten allergy, everything tastes great.
Chef Kendra Peterson, Mark, Jason, thank you so much. We appreciate it.